How you can tell that you're an introvert. Sometimes, it is not easy being an introvert in an extrovert's world. Whether it's a boisterous office party, a packed social calendar, or a long ride on public transport, everyday life can be filled with obstacles for the introverted soul. Introversion is a personality trait distinguished by focusing on internal feelings rather than external sources of stimulation. It is critical to note that introversion is not the same as social anxiety or shyness. An introvert is not necessarily socially anxious or shy. Introverts are not just quiet people. In fact, many introverts are not subtle at all and could even be the most outgoing person you know. Frankly, there are still many misconceptions about an introverted personality type, even though introverts make up about 25 to 40% of the population. While it is easy to spend many hours researching the topic, many clues can help determine if you fall into the introvert group. Introverts come in all sorts of packages. In this next section, we are going to look at the 8 different signs that indicate whether you might be an introvert. If you find yourself saying, "This is super relatable," to most of the signs we go over, you might just have your answer. 1. Small talk equals waste of time. Introverts are incredibly skilled at active listening. As natural listeners, they process information internally, which allows them to hear, understand, and provide carefully considered insight when they give a response. They indeed are not a fan of conversations that bounce back and forth too much. Therefore, introverts tend to be the best people to go to if you want a good vent. They are observers and enjoy letting people vent their feelings out. They have the power to set aside their personal thoughts and feelings to allow someone to reflect and process on their own respectfully. They can quickly establish trust and transparency through their attentive listening, whereas extroverts tend to participate in interactive listening. On top of this, the standard, "I watched the Kardashians last night, and Kim was crazy," or "the weather is terrible today, don't you think?" is something that doesn't captivate introverts. They would much rather be the existing political climate, discussing the cosmos, or investing time in someone's emotional matters. You also find that light chit-chat can evolve into a much deeper topic when conversing with an introvert. A simple, "Have you seen the new movie Don't Look Up?" could progress into issues involving climate change and politics. 2. Time alone is essential after any social situation. Introverts tend to feel exhausted after spending some time with many people. After a day of interacting with others, whether it be from work or pleasure, they often need to retreat into solitude and have some well-dedicated alone time. It has nothing to do with the surrounding people, but it is necessary to recharge. Where introverts can be isolated is usually their safe place. See, one of the significant characteristics of this personality type is that introverts require expending energy in social situations. Meanwhile, their extroverted counterparts actually gain energy from such interactions. But that doesn't mean that all introverts avoid social events altogether. We will get into that in the next point below. 3. Being selectively social, not antisocial. A widespread misconception about introverts is that they do not like people nor spending time with them. While introverts usually do not enjoy a great deal of socializing, they actually enjoy spending time around others, but introverts tend to prefer the company of close friends. An extrovert might go to a party to meet new people and have fun. Still, instead of going to a large social circle that introverted people only know superficially, introverts tend to prefer long-lasting relationships marked by great closeness and intimacy. Research has found that people that are classified as more introverted tend to have a smaller group of friends, while extroverts generally have a wide circle of acquaintances and friends. 4. Constant inner reflection and introspection. So because introverts tend to like to turn inward, they spend a lot of time examining their own internal feelings and experiences and have been known to have remarkable introspection. Introverts tend to have a very active inner voice and conversation. They are considered the true masters of reflective thinking. Therefore, introverts' reflective attitude and curiosity help them to strategically devise solutions and plans in their heads before acting upon them. Self-understanding and self-awareness are typically vital to introverts, and they can devote a great deal of time learning more about themselves. Their contemplative thinking allows them to keep in touch with their authenticity by closely monitoring their feelings, emotions, and thoughts. Introverts also like to involve themselves in hobbies they enjoy, thinking about their lives, and reading books that explore topics and themes important to them. Introverts, while they are not actually speaking, can get caught in their internal monologues and get lost in their ideas and thoughts for hours. Introvert counterparts could get restless and drained from being alone in their thoughts for too long, while introverts can thrive from it. Often, introverts notice details that many extroverts overlook because introverts do tend to pay attention to more minor things. It's probably common for an introvert to see a haircut or a new shirt, or they tend to blurt out an idea that's 5 steps ahead when the audience is stuck on step 1. 5. Phone calls aren't exactly your thing. Introverted people tend to receive more texts, emails, and especially phone calls than they make, unless, of course, there is no other choice. If an introvert has a few minutes to spare, the last thing they would want to do is initiate a call just to pass the time by socializing. For example, it can be quite common for an extrovert to call a friend alone in their car while driving. 6. People are constantly mystified. Introverts tend to hear people always say things like "you should try to open up more," or "you are very mysterious," or "why are you always so quiet?" The truth is that introverts are not trying to provoke attention about themselves and just don't feel the need to overshare. It takes a lot more time to warm up to people because their guard is higher. Most would prefer to banish mindless chit-chat and make philosophical discussions the norm if it were up to them. They would much rather sit down with someone and discuss the meaning of life or at least exchange true, honest thoughts. 7. Observant is your middle name. Introverts tend to be great observers and are always the first to notice anything from a new haircut or outfit to a shift in body language, facial expression, or tone of voice. Introverts utilize their exceptional skill to read and analyze the room to gain an understanding of the different energies that others bring to shared space. This inherited quality helps them develop a heightened sense of their surroundings and the people within. While they are typically identified as the quieter people in the room, these introverts are soaking in their environment to establish strong interpersonal communication. And unlike their extroverted colleagues, introverts often learn things through meticulous observation rather than impulsive undertaking. Extroverts tend to have a preference for jumping right in and learning through hands-on experience, whereas introverts typically prefer learning through keen observation. 8. Creativity is your strong suit, and last but not least, introverts are extraordinarily creative. They are almost always using and tapping into their abstract reasoning, unique perspectives, and what is called out-of-the-box thinking. Because of introverts' reflective and curious minds, they are constantly looking for solutions to problems and finding creative approaches. When social settings drain their introverted soul, and it is time to recharge the batteries, introverts can resort to their creative outlet to regain their energy to fuel up through creativity. Usually, after a long day at their job or at school, introverts look forward to spending time doing their favorite hobbies. These can include listening to music, writing, cooking, or indulging in self-care. Takeaways: so, introverts can be commonly viewed as extremely independent and perhaps distant antisocials, but as we have learned, they have been distinguishable and admirable traits. Research in one study of adult introverts ranging between the ages of 18 and 80 showed that people who had healthy and strong social relationships and emotional regulation skills were more content than those who did not have those aptitudes. Make the most of your strengths by nurturing your close relationships to cultivate solid social connections and use your tendency to look inward to develop concrete emotional understanding.